he wrote. During the early and mid-20th century, these consequences were unfolding and totalitarianism was spreading in Germany, Italy, Spain, the Soviet Union, as well as, in Orwell's mind, England and beyond. In response to this, Orwell believed that literature could be used to help warn against this development. It could be used to shed light on the circumstances of the world and help people fend against the increasing threat to freedom, truth, and well-being. What I have most wanted to do throughout the past 10 years is to make political writing into an art. My starting point is always a feeling of partisanship, a sense of injustice. When I sit down to write a book, I do not say to myself, I'm going to produce a work of art. I write it because there is some lie that I want to expose, some fact to which I want to draw attention, and my initial concern is to get a hearing, Orwell wrote. Though Orwell had already written and published several relatively successful books by around the year 1939, his real rise to global mainstream prominence came after the publication of his novella, Animal Farm, in 1945. And it was here that Orwell's mission to spread important ideas and warnings about the threats of the time and future times began to successfully ensue at scale. In Animal Farm, there is no real main character. Rather, the protagonist of the book is a population of anthropomorphized animals living on a farm known as Manor Farm. Each species of animal represents a different archetype or group of humans in society. One day on the farm, a pig named Old Major expresses to the other animals that they are being exploited by the humans who own the farm, and, if they work together, the animals can and ought to overtake the humans and create a better future for themselves. A revolution happens, the animals take over, and a new philosophy known as animalism is established. Two pigs named Snowball and Napoleon take lead over the new conditions of the farm, which soon becomes just Napoleon after he has Snowball chased off. Though things appear to go well initially, hell soon breaks loose, and the pigs who lead the farm begin to lead with malice, selfishness, manipulation, and violence, ultimately becoming the equivalent of the humans that the animals had revolted against. The creatures outside look from pig to man, and from man to pig, and from pig to man again. But already, it was impossible to say which was which. Reads the final line of the book. Broadly, Animal Farm is a thinly veiled critique of the Russian Revolution and the subsequent rule of Joseph Stalin over the Soviet Union. It showcases and warns against the fallibilities and susceptibilities of revolutionary movements and the potential threats of counter-revolutions. What arguably makes this novella so unique and important, however, is its ability to cut through the surface of any single social or political target and instead reveal timeless truths about social, political, and psychological phenomena, and to do so with animals. In the form of a fable, like that of Aesop or Disney, Orwell brings the complexities of social and political movements into an accessible, easily understandable allegorical format that can appeal to mass audiences across time and space. And that's exactly what Animal Farm did and does, selling 500,000 copies within the first year of publication and then going on to sell millions and millions more. The same year Animal Farm was released, Orwell lost his wife while she was undergoing a routine surgery. Only a year or two later, he began to fall ill himself with tuberculosis. He would, however, muster everything he had left and work on one last book. After collapsing multiple times while writing, his science, speculative, and dystopian fiction novel, 1984, was released in 1949. In brief, 1984 focuses on a character named Winston Smith, who lives in what was once London but is now a province of the superstate of Oceania. Oceania is run by a totalitarian government known as the Party, which follows the doctrines of English socialism, or INGSOC, and is led by a dictator figure known as Big Brother. In Oceania, citizens are under constant surveillance and are ruthlessly punished for even so much as thinking thoughts that counter the party's ideological doctrines. Devices known as telescreens are put in everyone's homes, where they both consume broadcasted content and are constantly observed by the party. What are known as the thought police are also always looming, ready to arrest anyone who commits what are known as thought crimes, or simply thinking the wrong things about the party. Moreover, the party is constantly producing propaganda in the form of manipulated information, data, statistics, and language. Language is simplified and reduced in Oceania through what is known as newspeak, where words are eliminated from the vernacular in order to prevent the likelihood of nuanced critical thinking. Words are also often used in a contradictory manner in order to undermine the true nature of the things they describe. For example, labor camps are referred to as joy camps. Torture takes place in the Ministry of Love. The military is referred to as the Ministry of Peace. The department responsible for falsifying data and facts is known as the Ministry of Truth. And the slogans of Oceania are, war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. All of this causes citizens to engage in what is known as doublethink, a sort of cognitive dissonance in which they both have their own perceptions and understanding of what is true, and yet they accept what they are being told by the party as true, despite any contradictions. At the beginning of the novel, Winston writes in his diary, "Down with Big Brother." By the end of the novel, the narrator concludes, referring to Winston, 2 gin-scented tears trickled down the sides of his nose. But it was all right. Everything was all right. The struggle was finished. He had won the victory over himself. He loved Big Brother. Like Animal Farm, 1984 would obtain immediate success, which Orwell was able to witness in his lifetime before dying of tuberculosis the next year in 1950. Ultimately, it is unclear how cynical Orwell truly was, but the cynical endings to his 2 masterworks are, arguably, not a declaration of total hopelessness, but a warning for the potential hopelessness that the future could exhibit, the future we are living in now. Since Orwell's passing, his work has only continued to become increasingly popular and culturally relevant. Ultimately, regardless of whether you agree with Orwell or like his writing, there is no denying his influence, and there is no denying the value and relevance of exploring the topics and ideas that he did. His insights into how human psychology plays out in the arena of politics and how the use and control of language influences and controls the thoughts and opinions of a population is likely a timeless and immensely relevant insight to all societies, past, present, and future. His unique ability to use language to convey this insight and warn against the power and influence of language is something only a brilliant writer could even try to do. And his ability to bring incredibly complex and typically dry concepts down into the realm of mass appeal and interest perhaps has helped ensure that the developments of aspects of the world remain on a track that leads to, at the very least, a less dystopian destination. In truth, we are always susceptible to our own malice and ignorance when we aren't paying attention, individually and collectively. Tyranny is not a part of history, it is a part of humanity. Humanity is always on the brink of slipping into it, of chasing the rabbit of hope into dystopian wonderlands. Orwell realized this, that tyranny was always possible and can occur even in a society in which the intentions are noble, or in a society in which the conditions appear prosperous and democratic. Perhaps our only hope, somewhat countering Orwell's view, is realizing that, in fact, there is no ultimate objective truth, at least that we have access to, and that subjective truth is likely all there is and all there will ever be for us. We must accept this as a consequence of our condition of ignorance and limitation, our fragmented perceptions and dissenting values. But perhaps, when we take this realization to the extreme, we realize that all individuals, all groups, all organizations, and all nations are fallible and wrong. There is no one idea or truth to follow or believe in. Perhaps in doing this, we burn up all the fuel of totalitarianism, and, at the bottom of the tank, we find the collective realization of simple decency, the kind in which Orwell advocated for, the kind in which we arrive at mutually beneficial intersubjective truths based on humility and compassion toward the differences and malleabilities of humanity across time and space, rather than an ultimate rightness and finality right now. Of course, this is far, far easier said than done. But in the words of Orwell, when referring to the conditions of 1984, the moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you.